actually need to go down another level, though. Oh, the pain. The agony. Hello everyone, Thranxes here, and welcome back to Minecraft, episode 15, where we're over here at our village. Got ourselves a little portal set up. We're going to actually disregard this because it's time to activate the portal now. Now, I haven't done the legwork on the other side, but that's part of what this episode is going to be. Okay, so we have our portal active. That's important. That's our first step. But we are still working on the highway. And the highway is doing well. But the highway is going to be for large trips with a llama. Or a llama caravan. A whole herd of llamas, rather. And we're not ready to do that yet, but we're going to want to get here faster than that sometimes. Sometimes just getting here by the highway is still going to take a very long time. And so for that, we're going to want to network this village to the Nether. Now, we have done a little bit with this village. As you can see, we've got a fortified wall put up around it. There's no way for anything to spawn inside or to get inside from the outside. And I've cleaned up some of the paths a little bit. We're letting the grass grow and spread everywhere so we can go ahead and make proper pathing. And some of the buildings don't yet have doors reestablished put on them. I think this building over here is missing a door. So we're definitely not in an optimum situation. We haven't even made the building that's going to gather our preferred merchants yet, and we haven't started breeding any villagers. But we do have the cursory wall up and everything's secured. So what we're going to be doing in this episode is connecting this place to our Nether connection so that we can get here quickly without having to ride old Sleipnir across the highway. Now the highway has made a lot of progress. I am still working on it, but again, we need another connection. So let's go ahead and actually, mini zombies can actually get in there. So we're just gonna dirt that up. We can still jump over it just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and head on back home. And then we will start our work in the Nether, and I'll show you some of the stuff we're going to talk about and do in this episode once we get back. Okay, so we're almost back home, running the highway back. Again, it's convenient. It's just not as fast as we would like. Because when you don't have to bring an animal with you, why would you if you don't have to? So we're going to go ahead and connect up the Nether. Let's talk about some of the stuff we've done off camera and some more of what we're going to do. Let's see, we can drop off this rotten flesh. Probably need to hold on to the flint and steel. We'll go on down to the strip mine. And actually we have obsidian here in our ender chest, so we don't even really need to be here. And look at that, we have a flint and steel there as well, so I think it's safe to say we can leave this one behind. I don't think we're going to need access to that, though. Okay. We've got a bunch of stone smelting. Now, what we've been doing is strip mining to get stone for our highway. We've ended up with a lot of iron and gold. And with that, we are going to create more of our rail network, or rather, we're going to refine it. As you can see, we've already got these nice little chunks of 38 rail here, which, to be fair, we don't really need those yet. Instead, we're just going to take this And some of this stone and a block of redstone. I think we're going to need our crafting table. Actually, we don't need that yet either. This will likely be all we need for now. I think we can go ahead and create ourselves another iron pick. We're going to chew through those relatively quickly. This looks good. This looks good for what we need it for. Right, okay. So let's go ahead and take a minecart and we'll show some of what we've done and then we'll talk about it more in detail. So as you can see now we have these neat little intersections. So this is going to be the main rail line that runs east and west. We're going to color code them. I have them color coded yellow and green, but that's going to be, we don't need the map right now. It's going to be more of what we do a little later with the colors, but you just push the button of where you want to go. Now, as of now, the western rail sort of dead ends there. Now, we want to take the eastern rail. Oh, the server might need to be restarted. It's got a little bit of latency. And then here we go to another intersection where you have the eastern rail continuing in that direction, or the spawn portal. And if you take the direction to the spawn portal, you can see, boom, here you are at spawn, just like that. So one of the things we're going to need to do, I don't think we're going to need this minecart just yet, is we're going to create another one of these three-way intersections on down the line as the main rail goes towards the village. As you can see, we actually need to travel this rail a good bit further in this direction, and then it's going to need a three-way off, and all intersections are going to come off of this main rail. But before we do that, we sort of need to make ourselves a main four-way intersection that's going to act as the main hub for our north-south rail line and our east-west rail line as they converge. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our little four-way intersection. And then we'll talk a little bit about how it works and why. I think this is probably as good a place as any to set it up. I don't want it to be right on center because the spawn portal is right on center. And these rail lines are going to end up slightly offset. So a little bit off center is fine. I actually think here, this is going to be a good area, and it'll get us a little bit of nether quartz as well. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm not going to spend a ton of time showing every single little detail. But the first thing we need to do is to go ahead and carve out our area. And you always carve out your area first, because if it's not obvious, it will be the first time it happens to you, is that lava could pour in at any moment, and it flows like water in the nether, and then if you've already started building your intersection, then you just end up with a lot of wasted resources. And we don't want that. I should be using my fortune pick on this quartz, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I'm going to get this carved out a little bit till we're ready to start. And then we'll start talking about how the four-way intersection works and get it built. That right there, that is exactly why you don't put any of your stuff down before you carve out your area. Goodness. Okay, so I'm just hollowing out the underneath before I give you the size dimensions, and one thing to note is you can break through. Do be careful, it is the nether. It is going to be very dangerous once this happens because ghasts could start sniping you, and you never know just how far down your floor extends. All it takes is one misplaced fireball, and oof, look at that. That would just be utter treacherousness. So we're going to go ahead and take it very slow and go very easy, and I'm going to continue to hollow this out, and I'll give you the size dimensions just as soon as we're in a good place. Okay, so here we are. We're about ready to go. I've got the bottom closed up sort of well enough. It's not very safe. You got to be careful here. But that's our setup. Now, if you're concerned about that, you can go a few blocks higher, closer to bedrock. We're actually about 8 blocks below bedrock, I think. And I find that pretty safe. I don't like to see bedrock at all, though, so I try to stay well away from it. And that means that sometimes when you're doing these and you're carving out the circuitry part in the bottom, you're going to have those little canyons, and you just got to be on your toes. Make sure you got feather falling 4 and a lava-proof potion. Okay, so let's talk about the dimensions. From where your rail starts, from one side to the other, it's going to be 15 blocks. So it's a 15 by 15 square. Now you don't need as much of the ceiling as I have. Well, actually you kind of do, because your rail system here is going to enter. And you could swoop the ceiling down a little bit, but you're going to need it to be 15 by 15, and then you're going to need it to be, let's see, it's 4 here, and then this would be 5, and then 6, 7. So you're going to need access to 2 blocks underneath where your rail line is going to be, and your rail line has to be 2 blocks down from this section. That's where the intersection is going to start. Now, credit where credit is due. This isn't actually my design. This is a design I found on a little channel called Cobblestone and Dirt, and I've used it for years because it's so elegant, and I love the way it sets up. So we're going to go into the actual construction now. One thing to note is that you're going to have your rail lines offset. It sort of makes this little pinwheel design, and we're just going to put stone bricks here so it's easy to see where our rail lines are going to go. And you can see here you're going to have this sort of pinwheel shape. So your rails are not going to be just a straight 4-way intersection. That's obviously impossible. You can only have a 3-way intersection on a rail. And we're going to bring it down from 2 layers so that you can approach this even at full speed. And what you need is 2 sloping down, and then 1, 2, 3 going into it. And these here we're going to do powered rail because we're dropping at a farther point. Now there is a variation on how to do this. If you go and you watch the original video, you can see I'm doing it a little bit differently in order to account for the increased speed with which our minecarts are going to enter this system. And because of that, what we're going to do is place a redstone block right here in the middle. And of course that's not what I meant to say, although that would be nice for decoration. No, what we're going to do is place the redstone block on top of that. Okay, but you don't have to. If you don't actually, that's probably wasteful. I don't think we're at a point where we're willing to spend that kind of... I mean, it's just 1 block, right? But no, the most economical way to do it the way that I'm setting it up is actually just going to be with a single redstone torch. And that way these 4 inner powered rail will always be powered. Now what we need to do is access the underside, and we're also going to have to install the spot for our buttons. So the buttons are going to go here on either side of these rail sections. So let's go ahead and dig these out here. And then we're just going to keep it with stone bricks. Now, obviously, you can use any material you want if you want to get a little fancier. I like the way the stone bricks look in the Nether. I think that's pretty snazzy. We're also going to need 12 buttons in total. And again, when you're dealing with minecarts, I highly recommend you use wooden buttons because they pulse for slightly longer than stone buttons, and therefore you're going to get that powered rail powered for just a little bit longer when you're trying to zip on down it. Okay, so this is sort of our setup. It's not the only way that it's going to be, but for now, this is how it's going to work. We're going to have to carve away from this a little bit now. We're going to break away this. And that's because we're going to have to work directly underneath it, and we don't want our circuits to get messed up. Okay, so we have clean, line of sight to every piece. Looking good. Okay. So from here, we have to figure out how our intersections are overlaid, because right now they're sort of just all over the place. What we want is for the intersection to be turning into the rail. Now, the surest way to see how that's going to work is to set up, let's see, we're going to need some torches like this. So all we're doing is we're offsetting one block off of the section of rail, the intersection it's going to turn, and then we're powering it with a torch so that we can see the natural orientation of this of these intersections here. All right, let's find our little escape hatch. I know I left us one. Oh, I'm trapped down here. It's so frightening. No, it's not. We're secure. Okay, so now you can see, yeah, so you're going to end up with this P, and that's not right. So you got to look for which rails are wrong. This rail is right because its intersection naturally aligns with the outgoing rail. This one the same way. This one does not, and this one does not. So these two are our culprits, and the fix for that is to put redstone dust on top and then break the torches underneath. And now we should end up with everything looking just great. And it's good to double check that before you continue. There you go. So now all of our intersections are lined up properly. That's the only thing you have to do that isn't going to be symmetrical for this build. And as you can see, we're going to have to come up with nifty ways to hide these things. Probably try to use a slab block, maybe. I don't know. We're gonna want to hide some of that, but we'll get to that in a moment. So from here, what you're going to do is you're going to put redstone dust here underneath that button, and a repeater into this block, like that, and then put dust alongside it. We're going to do the same thing on all of them. Ooh, don't take that fireproof potion off the hotbar, Thranxes. Again, you're putting dust down and then a repeater and then 2 more dust because you want it to be underneath the button. Oh, hold on. Let me look at it. This doesn't quite look right. I don't think, no, we don't need this. Yeah, we don't need this extra one. One too many. So it's just, yeah, it's just like that. The reason is you want the redstone dust and the repeater to fall under this button so that this button powers the block that switches it, and this button over here also powers this to power that block to switch the rail. Likewise, when you have the torches, you're sort of doing the same thing. You're setting it up so that the buttons will, in fact, invert the torch and turn it off. It's actually a really elegant design, and there's small little ways you can improve on it, but for the most part, it's very cheap on the resources and easy. So as you can see, that'll have our intersections actually turning properly now. If we go back up and look, all that's left to do now is power the rail. So for instance, if we want to go left, you hit this button, and that rail will switch and take you left. If you want to go right, none of the rails switch. And if you want to go straight, that is the rail that switches. And then there you go. That's all we've done. So from here, let's see, we're going to need comparators. We're actually going to need, we're 1 repeater short as well. So let's go ahead and make another one of those. And now all we need to do is power the rails, because as you can see, it's all well and good to have the intersections change, but if the outgoing rail doesn't power, then you're kind of hosed. And there's a real easy way to do that, is we're going to carry these blocks around like this. I don't know if I did that one right. No, I dare say I did not. So you got to come out one more and then over like that. Right, because it should connect. It should be able to just continue wrapping around like this, and then you're going to continue and meet back up where you left off. The only other thing you have to do, see, I said you'd only need 2 spaces down, but if you want to have a working area or a way to get in, you might need to go down to 3 in some places. The other thing you're going to need is a block here at the interchange. Let's see, right there. And this one is going to be here, like this, feeding into the block originally with your intersection. The only one we can't see very clearly is this one here. Hold on. Although, no, we did it. So we have, that's right, this one left, like that. All right, and you're going to have repeaters that come out of these blocks onto the rail. There we go. And what that's ensuring is if that button gets, that button for that particular intersection gets hit, then what it's going to do is it's going to power this outside line. There you go. And then this one is going to go out. Oops. Nope. Out as well like this. From here, all that we want to do is carry the signal all the way around. And from that, we can do that up above. We don't have to be down here in the guts anymore, thank goodness. On top of being claustrophobic, we know it's very dangerous down there. No, it's not. It's not dangerous. Let's make sure we can see our path all the way across. So we're just going to knock out a few more of this nether, a little bit more of this nether rack, and that's not one of the ones we needed to knock out. I realize I'm doing this all in stone, but again, doing this sort of stuff in survival means you're going to have to get slightly creative. But what we want is the signal from this button to actually travel all the way around, and then if this block gets triggered to change the intersection, that repeater will also power this line and carry it across, and then you're going to need a comparator here at the end to compare the value of the button to power this rail. And in that way, no matter which button is hit, all the rails will power, because the system doesn't know which way you're trying to take. It doesn't know how you're trying to exit. So all the rails need to come on every time the button is hit, and voila. As you can see, this is our design. It looks rough. We haven't prettied it up, but we can go ahead and test it. If you want to go left, you can see that the path goes left. If you want to go right, the path goes right. And if you want to go straight, the path goes straight. And you can also see that there's enough of a delay that the exit is going to stay hot for a little bit longer than your entrance. And that's really it. This is what you need. So from here, we're just going to take some of our stone bricks and do something sort of like this. I don't think... See, you want to be careful that you don't, see, look at that. You don't want to cover up your buttons. That's the problem with this. So actually what we're going to use is we're going to use slabs. That way, because what's going to happen is, and I've done this in the past, and I almost did it again, is when you're coming down here and your rail line stops, if you have all of these blocks up in the way, then you can't click the buttons because the blocks are in your way. And nobody has time for that. So let's go ahead and we'll make a bunch of slabs. And just like this, we're going to get it looking all nice and neat. Except that one and that one, apparently. Oh, I did it. I did it again. Not to worry. As you can see, it really doesn't take a lot of time to set this up, and aside from the powered rail, it doesn't take too many resources. A good bit of gold for the powered rail, so as you can still see the buttons well enough to click them, even if you stop all the way over here. You can click them. Although if you're coming at this at full speed, you're likely going to stop here. So again, it's not, you can't, there's just not really a good way to handle that. So you're just going to have to deal with these slabs here like this. Here at this spot, this is where I would put our signs. So for now, we're just going to get them in place for our placeholders. Actually, we need sticks and planks. 3 signs. So let's start with this. So this sign would say, oh, let me get my map so I can be accurate. Right, so this sign would say Eastern rail that way, and then to our right would be Southern rail, and Northern rail would be that way. So we'll just double check. If you turn left, you're going northern, eastbound, and southbound. Of course, we're heading east on this track. Because you don't see westbound, that means westbound is obviously behind you. So if you find yourself traveling the wrong way on a rail, you really just have to knock your minecart off and go the other direction. This doesn't really facilitate you being able to turn around. It's not that kind of rail system. Okay, so I'm going to put the signs up and maybe give us a little bit of lighting, and then we're going to move on to the next intersection, which is a lot easier, I promise. And then we'll get ourselves connected to the village. All right, just a couple of quick things. What I've realized is the slabs still don't quite do what I want them to. And so for that reason, we're going to go ahead and use carpet instead. Because the slabs were still proving to be a little bit of a sight hazard for the buttons. They weren't quite flat enough, and I want this center section to be nice and flat. So instead, we're going to go ahead and just put down carpet in these areas so our buttons are not obscured. And then, of course, to make this match here, we're going to go ahead and just going to put these blocks down. Shouldn't impede anything. You can still go straight, right, and left. Okay, and then the other thing is we're going to change the sign. So what I want is this to be, let's see, again, we're going to be heading eastbound. I just want to change the way it looks. Eastern rail, Southern rail, and then Northern rail. I think that's a little self-explanatory. And then we'll just do the same thing for these. Okay, and then we'll be on our way. So as you can see, it definitely looks a little nicer this way. And then I think we'll do some glowstone in the middle to light it, maybe. I'm not sure. All right, at this point, all I've been doing is just kind of digging a straight tunnel here because this is the main eastbound line. This is going to be the green line. Pretty sure green is east. I'll have them color-coded eventually, and it'll be easy to know what you need to pull off of. So the way I determine that is just that the location I'm trying to go to is more east than north. It's up by the dark forest there in the upper right of my map. To make it easier, I could have docked a map on the wall of my house in the village, and then I would have known precisely where to go, but I'm pretty certain of where to go. I'm not too concerned about it. So our intersection is going to be kind of in this area here. So similar to the other one, it's going to need to come down 2 because we're going to use variable speed, and this is also a design from cobblestone and dirt, a similar design. It's very elegant and clean, and because of that, it gets to be used in many of my worlds. I've used this design for quite a while, actually. And I like the ceiling to come down a little bit inside this area. One, two, three. And then no. Oh, we're gonna need another pickaxe. Oh, did I leave my crafting table behind? I fear that I did. We'll have to pick that up as we go back. There's nothing worse than having little crafting tables laying around all over the place. Well, no, I guess there are worse things. Don't speak out of turn, Thranxes. There are much worse things. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and then that's gonna be your intersection. Then 1, 2, 3, like this. At which point, let's see, it's gonna go up 1 and then up 2. And the way you can measure this, 2, 3, that's our middle, 1, 2, 3, up, and then the same thing over here, 1, 2, 3, and then up. 1, 2, 3, and then up. About like that. So that means our ceiling needs to come down just a little bit more like this. And then this is where the rail would continue eastbound. And same thing, this one is going to need a little bit here. And then from here, we're going to dig it up like that. And then this is going to be our off-ramp of the eastbound line to get to my village. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to carve this back a little bit so that we can actually see the sections that we're going to build. And again, we're going to do it without actually putting our stuff down until we're ready to build. Again, you don't want to have blocks in your way so that when you stop here, you want to make sure that you have full visibility to all of your buttons. So let's make sure we just clean this area out like that. All right, look at all that wasted netherrack. Oh, we've got our rail in sections of 38 for what we're doing. That's okay. All we need is one here, one here, one here, and one here. From there, the rest we're going to build is with the powered rail. You're going to come down 2 and then over 2. So you should come, if you're building it just like me, you should come down 2 and then over 2 to the middle. And then from here, this is where we're going to put our directions and our lighting. I decided against glowstone lighting because glowstone lighting happens naturally in the Nether. And you know, if I see glowstone in the Nether, what do you think? What's your first thought? It's mine it up, right? I mean, if it's glowstone in the Nether, it must be available. So for me, I think we're going to stick with the torches and the stone. Again, it looks more like you're actually conquering the Nether. Okay, this build is a lot simpler than the last one, you'll find. Ooh, ooh, my goodness. Wow. And I almost cut to do this part off camera. Ooh. That's going to be tricky. Let's get that taken care of right now. Oh my. Oh my. Ease up. So you're actually going to need access. Oof, maybe I'm regretting not going closer to bedrock at this point. Look at that patch of glowstone. Oh, it's so scary. At least if we fell, we wouldn't take fall damage. How about if we just put our fireproof potion on our hotbar, Thranxes? How about that? My goodness. I know this video is going a little bit over 30 minutes, but we have a lot to do, and sometimes you just have to be a little flexible. Oh, there's that ghast. Hold on. We don't want that. Whew. Okay. We actually need to go down another level, though. Oh, the pain. The agony. The treacherousness. Hey, look at that sharp-looking bridge over there. I don't know about you, but I sort of like that. Oop, I can see dripping lava nearby, so another reason to be careful. Oh my goodness, we're really gonna do this. We are, aren't we? Oh my goodness. Oh, really? Just place the blocks and be done with it. Okay. Ooh-wee, that should do us. We can go around the other side. So we'll go around on this side over here, because you are going to need a path to walk around to make this easy. Okay, all right. Now, what you want to do is you want to come to the flat part of this intersection, and you're going to want to go 3, and then 5, and then another 3. And you're just going to knock out each piece kind of in between like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to put a redstone torch here, and a redstone torch here, and then a little bit of dust right, oop, nope, dust on the sides, and another redstone torch in the middle. Now you're just going to put it on the side. You can put it on either side, but we'll talk about what the reasoning is for that here in just a minute. The next ones come down off the buttons like this, not like that. And then like this, so let's go ahead and carve our path around that. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? If you decided you wanted to go a little bit closer to bedrock and a little bit higher, I wouldn't fault you in the slightest. Not even a little bit. I wouldn't even ask questions. Okay. Then what you need is a repeater and dust and a torch, and then you also need some dust here and here. And that's really all there is to this one. Again, it is very compact, very elegant, very light on the resources. So what you want to do is you want to come up here and you want to test it. Okay, let's try this again. This rail should be curved. Okay, so you want to test it so that when you hit the button to go, so this, wait, this one's always on. Yeah, okay, I messed this one up. This is why we have a slab, or had a slab rather. And I've gotten rid of my slab. I left it thinking I wouldn't need it. Because this has a torch underneath it, you got to put a slab down or else it's going to always be powered. And you don't want that because then if you're coming from this direction, you won't stop. So if you don't want to put a slab there, you have to kind of work the circuit around. It's not impossible to do, but... Okay, so now if we hit this button, we should go left. But that would take us straight, and that button... Okay, so it's reversed. Now, if the buttons don't line up, if they're showing reversed, all that means is you need to put your torch on the other side. So that's what we're going to do. And now that we know it's good, we can go ahead and close this up. Voila. And as you can see now, if you hit this button to go to the left, you go left. And if you hit the far button, it turns and then you go straight. So then what we do is we put up our signs, right? So this would be, we'll just say Thranxian village that way. And if you go this way, it's Eastern Rail Line Green. Yeah, just like that, and we'll do the same here, obviously indicating that that one is westbound and that one's to my village, and then we'll go and we'll connect up the village. Alright, so I went ahead and dug our path using our map. Now we're going to take one rail out of the stack of 38 because we have one here. We're going to stick with our same system of going 38 unpowered rails after leaving at full speed. And then we're going to go one powered rail right here. And we're going to try and keep it looking nice and pretty. So let's go ahead and I think we'll just chuck that down there. We'll get a little redstone torch. That way you can't even see what's powering it. And again, we're using our map for reference, so I know pretty much right where I need the portal to be. At which point, let's see, I think we're going to dig a little bit in here and another one there. Let's go ahead and do that. So that means 1, 2, 3, the powered rail will come out to there. Nope, I want to go a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, powered rail to there. And again, I want to go just a little bit further. Okay. At this point, we're going to put down our dispenser. 1, 2, 3 powered rail. Not 1, but 3. Like that. We're going to set this up kind of similar to we did over at our seaside village. Or, I'm sorry, at our port. Which means we're going to need 2 wooden buttons. So let's ditch the stick for now. We'll ditch that. 2. Button here and a button there. We're going to need a couple of minecarts because, you know, why not? That's why we have all this iron. So put the minecarts in there. We'll just verify. One makes it power. The other one makes the minecart. Very good. Oh, always good to double check your work. And then here we're going to set up our portal. I also went back and got some banners. And from here, we just need to light it. Voila! And we need a little bit of a welcome sign of some sorts, right? So I guess we could go ahead and do that right here. Welcome to the Thranxian village. We might change the name a little bit later on, but that's the long and short of it. So then all you have to do is you take your rail line all the way here off of the main eastbound line. Go ahead and add a little bit of light because why not? I don't like the way that looks. We'll do that. And we should, let's see, we enter the portal. And we pop out right inside of our home, back where we started from the very beginning of the episode. And now we have a lightning fast way to get here from the Nether for when we're not trying to come with a bunch of llamas, but instead we just want to come here to work on the village. And also for anyone else that wants to come to the village to trade. So now that we've spent all this time making an expandable rail network that'll cover all of our fast travel needs in the future and allowing people to get to the village, the next episode we're going to have to work on actually giving people a reason to come to the village, which is getting our traders bred and stored in a building where they can be labeled and quickly found. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. A bit longer than I meant to have it, but we had a lot to cover. This has been Minecraft playing the server with fans, episode 15. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had a good time watching, because as always, I have had a good time playing. Just remember, if you have had a good time watching, don't be afraid to hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, you should definitely subscribe and ring that bell so you can see my videos as soon as they come out. But until next time, take care.